Hi there, my name is Dr. Shavana Naidoo. I am a board certified child psychiatrist and adult psychiatrist, and I am so pleased to be able to submit this talk to the Women Physician Wellness Group. It would be a dream to go ahead and speak in the Caribbean. Um, and I hope I'm here without much makeup, without any kind of updo, but all we have to do is offer ourselves, right? So, one of my talks I'm submitting is called Me, Myself, and I, How to Give Yourself Credit and Believe It. Now, I'm a psychiatrist. All day long, the only thing I really am doing is giving other people credit. Oh, you remember to take your medication? Credit. Ah, you didn't cut yourself last night. Credit. Oh, you didn't throw a tantrum, or you caught yourself in the middle of having a tantrum because you didn't have cheese on your sandwich. Great. Credit. All day long, I give people credit. But I have to tell you, when it comes to me, it's a different story, right? I know in all fields of medicine, it is very easy for us to acknowledge our patients and our colleagues when they do something well. But when it comes to ourselves and when it comes to me and myself, it's still a work in progress, right? And I've gone to many different conferences and lectures and heard all about how we have to be able to fill our cup and help ourselves to experience gratitude and acknowledge our own possibility as well as when we do the right thing. But yet, when we break it down, it still is kind of hard to think about what it actually means to give ourselves credit. So, today, I'm going to share with you 5 tools that I think can help you learn how to actually give yourself credit and believe it. So, first tool is fact before fanfare. Fact before fanfare. All right, remember medieval times, right? You had these big jousting competitions and tournaments, and you had two different jousters going up against each other, right? Think Game of Thrones. And as they're going up against each other, there's all kinds of, stress and anxiety and like who's going to win, who's going to get it. And then they finally see that one person wins, right? Someone is jostled, it's all dramatic. But then when the other person falls and there is one clear victor, that's when there's a huge uproar. That's when there's fanfare. So we have to figure out the facts before we can have fanfare. So why this is important is that sometimes we, as women physicians, we really discredit and discount ourselves when we do something right, right? Because it's not really a fact that we did something good or something worthy of fanfare. But if we break it down to the fact, it might be. So before jumping to fanfare, I think it's a good starting point for all of us is to recognize where that point of figuring out it's a fact starts. Okay, so the laundry is folded and put back in its place. I did that. That's a fact. Um, I went to the grocery store and ordered my stuff online before, so I was efficient to pick up my groceries on time. I did it. Fact. Um, I and my husband got into an argument and I really held my tongue because I knew if I argued back, it would cause more of an explosion. And I didn't want to go there today. I held my tongue. I did that. Fact. So adding the term I did that to really just underscore when something has happened that is a fact and worthy of credit, I think is a good starting point before feeling all the fanfare and jumping up and down because I did it, because that may not feel authentic to you. But if you are someone who really is into just calling things as they are, just identifying the times in your day where you accomplish something, it can be super, super small, right? Like getting the kids' lunches in on time. Something small. It can be making sure that you wrote half of your notes before you left the day of clinic. That sounds ambitious, right? Finishing half the notes. Okay, 5 notes before the end of clinic. I did that. Accomplishment, fact, maybe worthy of fanfare. So that's one way that we can try to acknowledge and accept the credit that's given to us, right? Fact before fanfare. One. Two, you may have heard of Mel Robbins, right? She has an amazing podcast. She also has several books. One of those books, which I'm sure some of you have read, is called The High Five Habit. So her book, one of the themes in her book is that it is of value. It builds up us seeing each other if we build the habit of giving ourselves a high five first thing in the morning when we see ourselves in the mirror. I think this is a great habit to build because, again, it's forcing us to acknowledge ourselves, to look ourselves in the eye, even if our hair and our makeup is a hot mess, even if we just woke up out of bed, just to look at ourselves and say, I got you, I got this, here we are together in this, right? You, me, myself, I, us. Um, but I also encourage us to think about doing this again when we have done something that others may not acknowledge or see. For example, I work on a multidisciplinary team, which means in psychiatry, I work with psychiatrists who are doctors, I work with psychologists, I work with social workers, I work with nursing staff, I work with behavioral health technicians. So all of us are on the same team and we take care of teens together in a virtual modality. So we meet every day and we do a team huddle and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the progress, and the challenges for our teens, right? To try to move them forward. And there are many times we talk in team, and my interventions, I feel, are not acknowledged equally. I feel that there is far more emphasis to certain other staff members, behavioral techs in their groups, to family therapists and their strategies, but, I do believe that there are times and places for medication and there are times and places for therapy. And sometimes I feel like people don't really acknowledge that starting or stopping a particular medication can make or break this child's progress. Fine. So I have started to apply Mel Robbins' high five technique to that. So when I leave my team and I feel like, man, like people didn't acknowledge me, people didn't notice, even though I tried to emphasize what I'm doing to contribute to this kid's progress. So I go over to my mirror and I high five myself, right? I say to myself, you know what, Shiv, you did this. You helped this kid. High five. And I think this is a helpful tool also because nobody really else needs to know, right? Of course, we all want everyone to see the good we're doing. And it's so much easier to have somebody else validate what we've done to make it seem like that's actually legit. If it's worthy of someone else acknowledging it, that means it's pretty big, right? That means it's pretty noticeable. And as women physicians, we know people don't notice us the same way as the men. People don't notice us the same way as other people who are louder or more annoying, right? Or less annoying or more likable, whatever it is. People don't always give us the credit that we deserved. People don't always give us the pay raise and the pay grade that we deserve, right? So this is one way that you can take back control to acknowledge yourself even when nobody else on your team or in your family or in your situation notice it. Give yourself a high five. Develop this high five habit. Okay. Mel Robbins. Her book is also great. If you want to check that out, it's a great book. I went to a conference and there was this amazing physician, Dr. Sonal Harder, who is an obesity medicine doc in Arizona, back where I live. And she shared an interaction she had with her husband, where her husband reminded her that she has to learn to validate her own conscience. Validate your own conscience. And I thought that was such a profound statement. So I'm giving her credit and I'm sharing that with you. And at first, I didn't quite understand it. But here's a situation where it comes into play. All right, husbands, right? For those of you who are married or not married, we understand why. um, so I had the task of taking some things to Goodwill, right? I'm a little bit of a hoarder. I collect lots of stuff and I'm trying to declutter, story of my life, right? Trying to clean my house. Okay, so there were tons of things that I had in my car ready to go to drop off to Goodwill. Later on in the day, I guess my husband put some other things not in my car, but to the side of my car. I didn't see that. So I left early in the morning because I'm a super early morning person, right? I'm a 4 a.m. person, get up, do my thinking, get my stuff done. And then when the lights come out, right, when the sun goes down, I'm done. Okay, so I go to Goodwill first thing in the morning. I drop off all the stuff in my trunk. I come back. I give myself credit. I'm like, great, I dropped the stuff off. I'm a winner. It's the beginning of the day. Yes. But I forgot the stuff at the side of my car that my husband put there because I didn't see it. So he and I get into this back and forth. He's like, you didn't do what I asked you to do. I'm like, yes, I did. I drove the car with all the stuff in my car to Goodwill and dropped it off. He's like, yes, and you still had this extra stuff there that should have gone and you didn't do it. So your task is not done. And I'm like, yeah, it is done. It is 90% done. I took all the stuff there to Goodwill. It is no longer in our house. Done. I decluttered. Good job, me. He's like, no, you didn't do it because you didn't do it 100%. Okay. Who has heard this kind of thing before? You haven't. It's not good enough, right? It's not 100%. Okay. Like, and no acknowledgement of the little pieces that you did, which actually might be a big piece. It's just not 100%. Okay. We're all fighting perfectionism, right? We're all female physicians. I have been fighting with saying I'm not a perfectionist, but you know what? My coach, Sugar Free MD, Stacey Heimberger, she will tell you I am definitely in the perfectionist spectrum. But when my husband and I got into this argument, I recognized that he is also a perfectionist, right? And in his mind, if I didn't do 100%, I didn't deserve credit. Here's where I have to bring in Dr. Harder's comment. Validate your own conscience. I could have been upset with him. I was upset with him. Let me be real. I was upset with him. But in my heart, I knew I did enough. I dropped off the stuff that I already had in my mind to Goodwill. Okay, maybe I didn't do 100% as per my husband's perspective, but with my conscience, with myself, my inner self, I checked in and I believed that I did my task as assigned. I did 100% of my task, even if it wasn't 100% of my husband's task. So I think the validation of our own conscience, of our own belief, even if the people closest to us, the people we love, don't see it the same way, don't have the same perspective, this is super important because by me giving myself credit and acknowledging that, yes, I did this task, I deserve credit, that made me feel a whole heck of a lot better, even though my husband did not get it, even though he disagreed and he was frustrated with me. That's okay, right? My job isn't to make my husband feel unfrustrated, right? Um, I did the task. If you don't believe I did it, we can go argue about semantics, but I know inside of my heart, this is what I did. I deserve the credit. Done. And the next day, I took the rest of it. No big deal, right? But knowing what we really feel is really important. And I brought this example up also because how many of you here really struggle when it comes to the people we love most? Our spouses, our siblings, our mothers, right? Our close coworkers, our best friends. When we see things differently and they perceive things a certain way that doesn't quite jive with what we feel on the inside, that can really make it hard for us to believe that we deserve something, that we are worthy, that we are correct, that what we feel on the inside is true to us. It makes us question ourselves when the people that we believe know us the best and the people that we love the most really don't seem to get it right and don't seem to get it at all. And that's why tuning into who we are and tuning into our own conscious being, our own heart center, our own spirit, whatever it is that you call it, tuning into that and checking in with yourself and knowing if what happened, what situation was going on, whether it was right enough for you, that is so important. And that tool of tuning into ourselves, that mindfulness, that's also a part of validating our own conscience. And for me, that day, I was pretty upset with my husband, as you can imagine, right? I had to sit with myself for a good 10 minutes and breathe through it and breathe through my utter frustration and anger with him to get to a place where I was like, yes, this is what I believe, this is true, and that's going to be enough for now. So validate your own conscience. That is number 3. So number 4, there's a fantastic physician, female physician and trauma therapist. Her name is Dr. Christine Gibson. She is out in Canada, in Vancouver. And she has a rephrase. She's also known as the TikTok trauma doc. She has a rephrase that I love. So affirmations. Who here has heard of affirmations? Who here? Yeah, all of us, right? All of us. Who here tries to practice affirmations? Yes, everyone. Everyone's hand should be up, right? Like, okay, I am a strong woman. I am enough. I am a good person. I am worthy, right? All these affirmations. Okay. Sometimes, depending on the headspace we're in, depending on our developmental phase, right? I'm a psychiatrist, where we are in our journey to wholeness and healing and wellness, affirmations may not cut it for us, right? Like we can say these things until the cow comes home, but we may not really believe it in our heart, in our soul, that they are true. I still am working on, I am good enough. Still, I'm working on that. And I'll share another thing that's helping me with that. But those kinds of affirmations can take some time. So she has rephrased an affirmation. Instead of an affirmation like, I am worthy, she asks to put in a little if before. What if I am worthy? What if I am good enough? What if I'm strong? What if I'm capable? What if I can figure it out? So that is called an if-firmation. And I love this thought that I think each of you can try with all of your affirmations, because for those of us who might have some resistance to trying on new identities, right? That's one way to shift your trajectory. You change your identity, right? You identify as something else, and then building that identity helps shift you forward. Okay, if you're not quite there yet, adding in the question of what if really opens our mind to the possibility. So when we're trying to give ourselves credit, right? Like, I give myself credit for doing the right thing. I did the right thing. I did the right thing, but I'm still not feeling it. I can add in and change it, shift it to an affirmation. What if I did the right thing? And that can really help shift my openness, open up the door to the possibility of, you know what? What if I did the right thing? Maybe I can give myself credit for this, right? Maybe I'm worthy of acknowledging myself and the effort I did. So, affirmations. I think affirmation versus affirmation is such a powerful tool. For any of you here who are trying on your affirmations, also try the affirmations. I think it is awesome. Another thing, to give myself credit. Another tool that I use is, I come from the Hindu spiritual background, and we have these prayer beads. Every single spiritual background has different kinds of beads, typical like a rosary, or a prayer bead. We have something called a Rudra chakra, which is a bunch of these particular seeds. What I do when I'm working on giving myself credit, because my core issue is I am enough, right? I'm working on the I am enough, is I take these beads and I just go on repeat, right? I repeat it. I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough. I should have the beads here to show you. I will bring it if I am asked to speak. But by doing that, which is 108 times, it's repetition. And when we think about giving ourselves credit, I am enough. I'm worthy. I'm possible. I'm good. I'm okay. When we do that on repeat, that signals to our brain, it hardwires it in, just like all the facts we had to memorize, right? Remember organic chemistry? Oh, remember immunology? Oh, I know some of you guys are immunologists, sorry for you guys, but like all these facts that we are just trying to put into our brain and use when we have our USMLE, when we have our patient come out there, like all of those, we had to repeat it. Unless you have photographic memory, we have to do things over and over and over again until we learn it. It's not a one size fits all, and it's not a one time gets all, right? We have to be able to do things multiple times before it's ingrained, and then we can spit it out and really believe it to be true and know it to be true. So if you have prayer beads, or if you have a special number in your mind and you are working on giving yourself credit, maybe you have to repeat it a certain number of times before you actually believe it. Okay? And then finally, I want to introduce this idea that I learned from a conference called Finding Meaning in Medicine, Tending the Flame by Dr. Rachel Remen. So Dr. Rachel Remen is a fantastic doctor who is a pioneer in the field of holistic medicine. She created Commonweal, which is for palliative care and end of life for those with cancer care. And she creates these trainings to train physicians to rekindle their flame and finding the meaning of why they went into medicine to begin with. Because let's be real, for all of us here, we're here because we're kind of burnt out with medicine, right? Because sometimes the meaning in medicine is lost. And it's lost because we are burnt out and we are no longer feeling well and don't know how to keep bringing that fire, right? It's down to an ember, right? It's burning out. So there was a gratitude journaling task that she walked us through, which I thought was so powerful. And gratitude's another thing, just like giving ourselves credit, where it kind of feels a little bit amorphous, right? Like, okay, giving thanks, all right, but like how? Because sometimes that makes us feel full of ourselves, right? To give ourselves gratitude, to give ourselves too much credit. Who am I to be so bright? Who am I to have done the right thing? So her task is to build a gratitude journal by going backward in your day. So you start from whatever point you are. So if now it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we would go back from now and kind of rewind our day. And as we rewind our day, we stop when we find something that surprised us. And then we notice and thank that moment. Then we go backward again and find a moment when we were touched. We felt touched. And then we remind ourselves again, rewind back to when in our day did we feel inspired? So I thought this was a very powerful journaling technique to really help break down gratitude and the words used, right? Surprised, touched, inspired. They could go either way. You could be touched in a positive or negative way. But for giving ourselves credit, we're going to add to this. Instead of having it just being our day, why not have us be full of ourselves? Why not have us focus and reflect on us? What if instead of looking at our day, we rewind our day and instead find something we did that surprised us today? Did we do anything that surprised us? Rewind. Did we do anything that touched us? Or something came around that touched us and we felt it? I felt it. We thank that moment. And then we keep rewinding back. Was there a moment that I was inspired? Maybe I inspired someone else. Did that happen? And we thank that moment. If we can remind ourselves that we are the center of gratitude, the I is in the center of gratitude. If we put ourselves in the center there, that might also help us wrap ourselves in giving us credit for experiencing the gratitude, the joy, the things that surprise us, touch us, and inspire us every day. And if we can find one of these couple of ways to acknowledge ourselves, acknowledge our strength, acknowledge our possibility, we deserve to be full of ourselves, right? Because it's only from a full cup that we can truly give to others. I have so much more to talk about, but I hope that this was enough for the submission for WPW for the talk, Me, Myself, and I, how to give yourself credit and believe it. Thanks so much for listening to me. Bye.